Welcome to Meg's Mysteries. This story's called Who's There? Who's there? I jumped up in the bed and yelled. I woke up from a sound sleep. The drugs they gave me for my injury really knocked me out. I had fallen and sprained my leg the other day, so I was up in my old room and passed out from all the drugs and the shock of the injury. I'm not used to being laid up and told to rest, but a loud bang woke me up. It would have woken anyone, even the dead. I thought it was a dream, but I'm alone in the family's old plantation home. Our Golden Acres was the name. Our family has been here before the Civil War of 1861, the war between the states, and we still own it. I now inherit it from my grandparents. I'm the only family left of the Wilcox clan, and my grandparents raised me after my parents died. I was very young when I went to live on the plantation. So now I'm back, and I have to rest and recover. But who can sleep in this dark, dreary old homestead with all its creaky noises? But this was not the house noise, but a loud bang and a scraping noise. I managed to get up with my crutches, and I hear it again. This is no dream. So I made myself go out into the dark hallway to the stairs and the stair lift. I used to tease my grandmother when she used it, but boy, now I'm glad we have one. As I was descending down the steps, I called out, "Who is there?" No answer. The reason I fell days ago, I was awakened the first night I was here by a similar bang and noises. I knew I was alone in the house. The housekeeper, Mrs. Thompson, and Joshua, the groundskeeper, and the maid, Aggie, they all leave at 7 p.m. Mrs. Thompson informed me, "We leave at 7 p.m. We will not stay past that. You will be all on your own." I told her, "You know I grew up here, so that'll be fine. I'll be okay on my own." Aggie got me on the side and told me, "Miss Glenda, after your grandmother died, we won't stay here at night. It's too creepy, and I see and hear strange things." I told her, "I understand, but I don't believe in ghosts and such things. Only the living can hurt you." She smiled at me and left with the others. Here is what happened that first night. I was in my old room fast asleep. The loud noise woke me up, like someone was moving furniture downstairs. I thought it was Mrs. Thompson that she came back for something. So I went down the stairs to check it out. I called, "Who's there?" but no answer. So I started down. I almost got to the bottom of the steps when I tripped over something and fell, hit my head. I had sprained my leg in the process. I must have passed out for a while, but I woke up feeling something licking my face, my cheek. It was wet, but there was nothing there. There's no animals here anymore. After my grandfather died, his blue-tick hound, Bo, his constant companion, also died. He missed his master so. And my grandmother's cat, Tabby Gray, also is not around anymore. She had more than 9 lives, but now is in cat heaven. So what woke me up? I had my cell phone nearby, so I called for help. My childhood friend, Dr. Austin Blake, was on call at the hospital, and he came and took care of me. Then he brought me home from the hospital. He asked on the way, how did this happen?" I told him, and he jokingly said, "I guess the ghost of old Bo woke you up. He always loved and watched over you." I smiled and said, "Not funny, but it could be. I did hear a noise, but I was alone, so anything is possible, I guess. Maybe the dog and cat are still here. Or maybe it's Grandma Mabel. She might be mad that I inherited the plantation. She is haunting me. You know, and remember, we did not get along after Grandfather died. But I'm only kidding. I don't believe in ghosts, even though Grandfather Wilcox did and told us many stories he claimed to be real. He said, "Let's get serious. You can't be on your own tonight." I told him Franklin was coming in a day or two. He knew Franklin. We all grew up together as childhood friends with Austin's sister Carol Ann. It so happens she's my lawyer, and she'll be joining me tonight to go over the terms of the will. I told him, "You must come for dinner." He said, "Great, I get to see Franklin again when he comes. It's been such a long time since we're all together. And I don't get to see my sister Carol Ann much. She's so busy, and our schedules are so busy. This will be a wonderful reunion. I will come by tonight and bring the wine." Then he left. Mrs. Thompson and Joshua came in, and I told her, "We'll be having 2 guests for dinner tonight." Just then, Aggie came running in. "Someone's coming down the driveway." It was Franklin. He came early. I told Joshua to help him with the luggage, and Aggie let him in. She showed him into the living room and smiled and said, "Oh, he's so handsome." Mrs. Thompson said, "Aggie, go do your work." Franklin came in and kissed me. "How did you manage to do this the first night here? I can't leave you alone for a minute. Look what happened." I said I didn't plan it, so we settled in and we caught up. Mrs. Thompson came in and said, "I will be cooking a roast and vegetables and a pie. Is that to your satisfaction, Miss Glenda?" I said, "It sounds delicious." Then she turned to Franklin and she smiled, saying, "It was your favorite. I remember when you were a child and having dinner here." He smiled at her and told her, "I could hug you for remembering that. Thank you." And then he hugged her. When she left, she was still smiling. I said, "She is so stern all the time. I never saw her smile, even when I was a kid here. Her and my grandmother were both so proper and all the time." Grandfather was the life of the place, with his stories and jokes. He was always so friendly and had time for all of us. Franklin said, "Yes, he was a gem, always there for a good laugh or ghost story." I said, "I miss him terribly. It was horrible living here after his death. That's why I left so early to get on my own life. And now I'm brought back to this old plantation." Franklin asked if I would keep it or sell it. I said, "I don't know. We'll see. But I do have a life in New York, and my books will be coming out soon. That's where we met again, in New York, at my book signing. I write mysteries and other short stories. He came into my latest book signing. "Hello, remember me?" he said. I looked up and saw that smile, and we were together ever since. I told him I also got all of my grandfather's manuscripts and books and secrets. Remember the legend of the first James Wilcock and his bride Annette? During the Civil War, the legend of the Wilcock buried treasure on the plantation property. We all used to look for it every chance we had, but no one ever found it. Maybe it's still out there. That night, Carol Ann and Austin came. We had so much fun catching up, and dinner was great. After dinner, we settled in the living room by the fireplace. I told them, "I have a surprise for you all. Remember the story of the Wilcock treasure?" They all said, "Yes, it was our favorite story." I said, "I was going through Grandfather's papers and books, an old Bible with the family tree of all the Wilcocks, going back to the first, John and Annette Wilcock. He was killed in the war, but knowing that it wasn't going so well for the South, he took all the gold and silver and jewelry and buried them somewhere. Anything worth anything. He hid it from the soldiers and carpetbaggers that were raiding old plantations. He told no one, but wrote a note and a message to his wife. I was leafing through the book and I found it, a faded note hidden in the Bible, with a pressed flower between the pages. "My beloved Annette, go to where we first fell in love, the secret place where the wild flowers bloom, the flowing stream and the old cypress tree. That is where it will be. Well, my love, until we are together again. Love, John." She never found the treasure. She had died shortly after she read the note. The fever took her, and she never showed the note to anyone. She died, leaving her 3 children, John, Adam, and Anna, to take over the plantation. They did well, even without the treasure. She had hidden the note away in the family Bible with the pressed flowers. Grandfather found the note and kept it there. He never looked for the treasure. He was struck down with the stroke and never had a chance. "Oh, how exciting!" Carol Ann cried. "Now we have a clue and a real-life mystery to solve. I wonder where it is. We did look all over when we were kids, in the house and on the grounds." So we all agreed to start looking tomorrow. I can walk with my crutches, and a new adventure awaits us tomorrow. Carol Ann stayed the night, and Austin went home, but he'll join us early in the morning. Also, Aggie stayed overnight. She said she felt safe now that we're all here. She had breakfast waiting for us in the morning. Austin joined us, and then we agreed to look in the woods first. I remember we used to play in the woods by the stream. Maybe it could be the secret place mentioned in the note. There were cypress trees along the bank and wildflowers by the stream. Carol Ann, Austin, and Franklin and I searched all over. Almost giving up, I sat down by a tree by a rock, flowers blooming all around it. I yelled, "Here it is, I know it." Carol Ann noticed a tree with a fading carving, a heart with J and Ann. "This has to be the place." The guys brought a shovel and ropes, always prepared, they said, and they started to dig. Not that far down, and they hit something hard. It was a heavy chest, and they brought it up with the rope. Then we all heard a noise behind us and turned to see Joshua, who said, "I'll be taking that," and he had a gun pointed at us. Behind him was Mrs. Thompson, smiling. She said, "Thanks, we've been searching all over for that for years." With the gun pointed at us, Joshua said, "Thanks for digging it up for us. Now you can help us move it to the house. Maybe we'll let you live." Then a loud growl sound. Joshua started to yell, and he dropped the gun, and he fell and rolled around screaming. We saw nothing, but he had bite marks on him and blood on his arm and his legs. "Get it off," he screamed. Mrs. Thompson started to run, and she was screaming, "The ghost, the ghost!" And she ran through the woods towards the house. Then Franklin went and picked up the gun and said to Joshua, "Oh, stop your crying, you worthless old man." To our surprise, he pointed the gun toward us. And then he yelled at Joshua, "Just lay there. You're worthless." He smiled an evil smile and said, "I'll be taking that. And Austin, would you be so kind as to tie the girls up and help me move the treasure? Then I might not shoot you." He planned just to leave us there and maybe get rid of Austin after moving the chest. He was pure evil. This was something none of us would have ever thought possible. He was our friend, and he was my boyfriend. I yelled, "How could you?" His answer surprised us all. "Oh, my dear Glenda, this was all planned. Mrs. Tompkins is my aunt on my mother's side, and that's Uncle Joshua." He raised the gun and got closer to us. Then a cry from a cat, and something fell on him from the tree. It clawed at his face, and he dropped the gun and started to scream. He was hitting himself all over his face with claw marks and streaks of blood. We saw nothing. What could be attacking him? Austin ran and got the gun where it was dropped. Just then we heard, "It's the police. Who's there?" I yelled, "Over here. Help us." Austin gave them the gun, and they helped untie us. They arrested Franklin, his aunt, and his uncle for attempted murder and murder. Aggie was the one who saved us. She called the police. She knew they were up to no good. She overheard some of their plans. She also told me that they were the ones who were searching the house the night I fell. Mrs. Tompkins put a wire on the stairs so I would fall down, just like she did with my grandmother. It was murder, not an accident, that she died. I knew nothing about this, and though it was an accident, she was old, and I thought that she just fell on her own, I told everyone. But it was their plan all from the start to get rid of her and me so they can find the treasure. We're all safe now and much richer. I will be keeping the plantation and opening up a resort for artists, writers, and musicians. Everything grandfather loved. Also, I'm writing a new series called The Stories My Grandfather Told Me, Ghosts, Legends, and Things That Go Bump in the Night. Carol Ann and Austin are here too. She is the lawyer of the estate and my best friend. Austin stays, and he's become more than a friend. Oh, by the way, the helpers were the ghosts of Bo the dog and Tabby the gray cat, our invisible angels. They were always here to watch over me. I still think they're hanging around just in case. What do you think? I hope you enjoyed this one. Come back for more of Meg's Mysteries. Until next time.